I knew I wanted to own a business when I was working 84 hours a week. And I was working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Just working a 12-hour shift is a lot, but imagine doing that week after week after week. And you have 2 small children, and you want to spend time with them, but you can't because you're trading your time for dollars. And so, of course, in the beginning, I was happy to make a big check. I was happy to get those extra hours and to get the overtime. But then year after year, it just became too much. I just knew that I needed to get out of that environment. I didn't know how, I didn't know what. And that's when I ran into the Teachings of Abraham, written by Esther Hicks. And it's about the law of attraction. That so motivated me. It changed my mindset in such a way where I literally quit my job at the shipyard. I just quit. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I didn't know where I was gonna go. All I knew was I was gonna not continue doing what I was doing. I decided that I was gonna move. I was gonna move to Florida because I had family down here. And so I looked at what were jobs down here at the time. I was like, well, if I'm gonna move down there, I should probably, maybe get into something like that I would be getting into down there. So with my mindset at the time, I was like, so I looked on Craigslist and I saw that there was like jobs in cable, like cable TV. So I went out and I got a job installing cable. And this was before I'd even moved, because I quit my job at the shipyard. I knew I didn't want to work there. So I said, I'm gonna try something new. And I never would have done that had it not been for this idea of law of attraction, of me changing my mindset, changing what I believed, changing what was coming to me. So I just tried something new. What I found was absolutely amazing. I went from working 84 hours a week to working less than 40 and making more than double what I was making, because I was doing a specific type of a cable TV install called IPTV, Internet Protocol Television. It was over DSL. So it was a little bit more complicated than a regular cable install, and they paid really, really, really well for it. And this whole law of attraction thing was working out so great for me, and the cable thing was working out so great for about a year until the whole thing crashed. And I was like, oh my goodness, does this law of attraction thing actually work? I was like, now I'm out of the shipyard and the cable thing's crashing. What's happening? And so I just stayed true to the principle that I'd learned in law of attraction, which was to stay positive, to stay joyful, to stay focusing on what it is that I desire, not what it is that I fear. And as I did that, this gentleman that I knew, Dave Candle, I knew him from my past, he had kept on calling me, and I always tried to ignore him. I thought he was a bit out there. But turns out he wanted my help to do some editing on an audio file of a client testimonial. So I agreed to help him. I listened to the testimonial. It was pretty cool. He was talking about a client getting access to business credit. And I remember the whole cable thing was failing at the time. So I was like, you know what? Dave keeps asking me to try this new thing. Maybe this is the universe talking to me. Let me try. I started talking with Dave. He explained what the program is about, and I started doing this business credit program that he had started at the time. And at the time, we were just charging by the hour, $1,500 an hour to clients that wanted this type of business credit. And it was something that was really, really working out. And so I was like, wow, this is amazing. The universe has this business credit lined up because it's even better than the cable. If I continue to follow what I believe is the right thing, to be loving, to be joyful, to do the right thing for others, and to do the right thing for myself, then it's going to continue to grow. Even if it looks like everything's crashing like the cable, it's only because God is bringing something bigger and better. And that's how I got into Fund&Grow. Because at the time, I was working for Dave Candle. It was a very small company. I don't think we even did more than 100 grand in 1 year. And then Dave sold the company to me. And then since then, I grew the company further and further until where we are today. Some of the biggest and the best milestones is our sales and the amount of money that we're making, but another big milestone was the negotiations and the funding that we're bringing in. So the funding was us really saying, putting our money where our mouth is, so to speak, and getting people the funding that we say that we're going to get them. I remember the first month where we did 50,000 in sales, and we were working hard to make that an equal amount of 100,000 in credit or 200,000 in credit. And so we had really small numbers. We had small amounts of sales come in, small amounts of credit gained in terms of funding we were getting for the clients, and we were growing these and just working on bringing in more sales, creating more credit, bringing in more sales, creating more credit. And I remember the first month that we hit 100,000 in sales, and I remember the first month that we hit $1 million in credit gained and bringing in funding, and the same with Also our sales, remember building up to 200,000 in sales, and that seemed like such a huge number. And I forget how many employees we had at the time, but I think we were maybe 10 or 15. Now we're up to 65 employees doing well over $1 million a month. And so that's a huge milestone. And that milestone also indicates the amount of funding we're bringing in, which is well over 22 million a month in funding for clients. And so that's, I think, a very big milestone for us. My number one thing for a young entrepreneur getting into business is to find a way to really uplift others and be of service. If your business is a clever model that you can figure out ways of making money on, but it's not actually serving the underlying industry, then it's probably not going to grow. The largest challenge that Fund&Grow has faced, and perhaps it's a big challenge for most businesses, is probably personnel and employees. Creating systems is something that you can do with your team in terms of programming and websites and database, and that look is easy to control in a sense. But creating a team that is really service oriented and wants to do right by each other and do right by the client, that's a whole nother thing. And so finding people to lead that team, finding different leaders within the different industries needed, that's probably been my biggest challenge and the biggest challenge of Fund&Grow. The only way to really make the client happy and to really make them uplifted at the end of the day is to have a team of employees and people that would strive towards that. They're not going to be perfect. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. But to strive towards that as a team so that the client can at least feel some of that they can feel that this is what we push towards, even if it's not something that's 100% every day, all day. Creating a standardization or creating a standard platform where all clients are getting the same process, they're getting the same fulfillment. That's like a difficult thing for any CEO to create. And one of the things that I would say we're excited about at Fund&Grow is the idea that we're all collectively working towards really being this work base, this employee base of friends, of people that work together, of people that uplift each other, care about each other in a way where that translates to the client. And there's no other way of doing it for the client if we're not doing it for each other first. And so I think any CEO is going to work hard to create this type of cohesiveness within their workforce, this type of upliftment, so that it translates to the client. And we're not perfect at Fund&Grow, but that's one of the directions that as a team we go in. We want to create that not only for each other, but for our clients. Because ultimately, if our clients aren't getting what it is that we say they're going to get, then we're nothing as a workforce. So we do it for ourselves, and then we do it for our client. One of the things that drives me the most is helping other small businesses. So funding other small businesses is what we do, and being able to get them access to huge amounts of funding and seeing them grow, that's what excites me the most, is being able to help so many small businesses. And I love small businesses. I want to see them grow. I want to see people not work for big businesses. I want to see them create their own businesses. I want to see more entrepreneurs in America. I don't like the climate, the current corporate climate, where we see bigger businesses getting bigger and bigger, especially during the pandemic. The largest corporations of the world have gained more ever during this pandemic than ever before. And more small businesses were shut down than ever before. And the people at the top seem completely okay with that. And they're completely okay with calling for more shutdowns and even more small businesses close while all the big ones stay open and receive all types of benefits. As CEO of Fund&Grow, to be able to help all these small businesses not only weather COVID and be able to make it through the pandemic, but be able to grow, be able to scale, be able to do more of whatever it is that they do, that's something that excites us here at Fund&Grow.